Before the sun touches the fields, the night in ancient Egypt is not loud. It does not rush. It does not hurry to become morning. It simply rests over the land like a soft cloth laid gently across the river, across the fields, across the small homes made of mud and straw. The Nile flows quietly even in darkness. It does not change its rhythm. It does not ask for attention. It only moves forward, as it always has, carrying life through the sleeping valley. And somewhere near its banks, in a small village that feels almost hidden under the vast sky, a farmer sleeps. His home is simple: mud brick walls that hold warmth from the day, a roof made from palm leaves and wood, a floor of packed earth that remembers every step taken on it. There is no decoration that tries to impress, only the quiet purpose of shelter. Inside, the air is still. A faint scent of grain rests in woven baskets. A little clay jar of water sits near where the family sleeps. The darkness is not frightening here. It is familiar. It belongs. The farmer lies on a woven mat. His breathing is slow. His body is tired in the way that comes from honest labor, not from rush or stress, but from steady work that follows the rhythm of the earth. Outside, the stars are bright. They do not flicker like city lights. They remain steady, as if they have always been watching and always will be watching. The sky feels close in Egypt, wide and endless, yet calm. And as the night continues, the land rests too. The fields that were worked during the day are now silent. Rows of wheat, barley, and flax stand in quiet patience. The irrigation canals, carved carefully from the river's reach, carry still water that reflects the sky above. Everything is waiting, not in tension, only in balance. Somewhere in the middle of the night, the farmer stirs slightly, not because something is wrong, but because the body remembers time even when sleep is deep. He adjusts his arm. He turns his face slightly toward the cooler air that comes through the small opening in the wall. The desert air outside is softer now. The heat of the sun has long disappeared, leaving behind a cool stillness that feels almost like a second kind of silence. Beside him, his family sleeps too. A child, small and curled under a thin cloth. A partner resting peacefully, breathing in slow rhythm. There is a sense of closeness in this small space. Not crowded, not heavy, just present. This is how life is held together here. Not through abundance, but through connection. Long before the sun rises, even before the first hint of light touches the horizon, the village begins to awaken in its own quiet way. Roosters do not crow loudly at first. Their sounds are scattered, distant, as if they are still unsure whether morning is truly coming. Somewhere nearby, a dog shifts its position and lies back down. And then, gradually, the air begins to change. Not suddenly, slowly, as if the world is remembering that it must begin again. Inside the farmer's home, he opens his eyes. There is no alarm. There is no urgency. Only habit. Deep, steady habit passed down through generations. The body knows what the sun will do, even before it appears. He sits up slowly. The floor is cool beneath him. The air inside the home is slightly warmer than outside now, holding the memory of the night. For a moment, he does not move further. He simply sits, listening to the faint sounds of early life returning. A distant bucket being lowered into a well. the soft movement of someone stepping outside, the faint rustle of cloth as another villager wakes. This is the beginning of the day. He stands. His movements are unhurried. There is no need for speed. The fields will wait. The river will continue its flow. The work has always been there and will always be there. He reaches for a simple garment. Worn fabric, soft from use. He wraps it around himself, adjusting it in a way that feels natural rather than deliberate. Near the entrance of the home, he pauses. Outside is still dim. The sky is not yet fully awake, but there is a faint change in color near the horizon. A soft shift from deep darkness into something slightly lighter. He steps out, and the world greets him quietly. The air outside is cool against his skin. The village is beginning to move, but gently. Not in rush, not in noise. People are stepping out of their homes one by one. Some carry tools. Some carry empty baskets. Some simply stand for a moment, looking toward the fields. The farmer walks slowly toward the edge of his small home. The ground beneath his feet is familiar. Every step has been taken many times before. The path is not new. It is remembered by the land itself. Ahead, beyond the cluster of homes, the fields stretch outward. Dark shapes in the early light. Quiet, waiting, patient. The Nile is not far. Its presence is felt even when it is not seen clearly. The air carries a faint dampness, a reminder of water and soil working together. This is the world he belongs to, not separate from it, not above it, but within it. As he walks, the sky begins to soften further. The stars fade slowly, one by one, as if stepping back to allow something greater to arrive. The horizon brightens gently, painting the edge of the world with a pale glow. There is no sudden transformation, only transition, the kind that feels natural, like breathing. The farmer reaches the edge of his field. He stops. For a moment, he simply looks. Rows of crops, shaped by careful hands and steady work. Narrow irrigation channels reflecting the faint light of dawn. Soil that has been tended, softened, respected. Everything here depends on the river. Everything here depends on timing. Everything here depends on patience. Behind him, the village continues to wake. Soft movement, quiet conversation, the sound of tools being gathered. But still, there is no chaos. Egyptian mourning begins like a thought forming slowly in the mind. Not immediate, not sharp, but gradual and steady. The farmer bends slightly, touching the soil. It is cool, damp from irrigation that came during the night or early morning hours. It carries life within it, life that will rise into plants, into food, into survival. He lets the soil fall through his fingers. Slowly. Naturally, like time itself. And as the first light of the sun finally begins to appear at the edge of the world, the land does not change into something new. It only becomes visible. The same fields, the same river, the same village, but now revealed, gently touched by light that spreads without hurry. The farmer takes a slow breath. The day has begun, and everything that will happen next is already waiting quietly in the hours ahead. The field, he carries simple tools. A wooden hoe worn smooth by years of use. A rope coiled loosely. A basket made from reeds. Nothing here is new. Everything has been used before and will be used again. That is how life continues here. Through repetition that never feels empty. The fields stretch wide. Barley and wheat stand in soft rows, still slightly heavy with the coolness of night. The wind moves through them gently, causing a faint rustling sound that is almost like breathing. The farmer stops near a section of irrigation channel. Water is still flowing slowly. It comes from the Nile, guided through carefully shaped paths in the earth. These channels are not natural in their final form, but they depend entirely on nature to exist. Without the river, they are nothing. Without human care, they lose direction. Here, water is not wasted. It is respected. It is shared. It is guided, not controlled. He kneels near the edge of the channel. The water is clear. It reflects the pale sky above, broken occasionally by small ripples that form when it meets uneven ground. He reaches out and touches it. It is cool, not cold like winter, not warm like summer heat, but balanced in a way that feels almost timeless. Water like this is life itself in Egypt. Without it, nothing grows. With it, everything becomes possible. Nearby, other farmers begin their work. They do not call loudly to one another. Instead, there are quiet gestures. A nod, a short exchange of words carried softly by the morning air. Tools are adjusted. Paths are checked. Channels are opened or slightly redirected with careful hands. There is coordination here, but it is not rushed coordination. It is the kind that has been learned through generations. The farmer stands again and begins to walk along his field. He observes, not in a hurried way, but in a slow, attentive way. He notices where the soil is slightly dry. He notices where water has collected more than needed. He notices the health of the plants not through measurement, but through experience. The land speaks without words, and he understands it without effort. The sun rises higher, not suddenly overhead, but gradually lifting itself into the sky, spreading warmth that begins to change the feeling of the air. The coolness of early morning begins to soften. Shadows shorten. Colors become clearer. The world becomes more defined, but still calm, still quiet. The farmer begins simple labor. He uses his hoe to gently break the soil in certain places, not digging deeply, but adjusting the surface so that water can reach more evenly. Each movement is slow and steady, driven not by urgency, but by rhythm. Lift, place, press, repeat. The sound of wood against earth is soft. It does not echo far. It stays close, as if the land itself absorbs it. Sometimes he pauses. He looks toward the river in the distance. The Nile is not fully visible from here, but its presence is always known. A faint line of green along the horizon marks where water has made life possible in an otherwise dry world. Beyond that, the desert waits. Still, endless, unmoving. But here, in this narrow green valley, life continues with delicate balance. As the morning deepens, more villagers arrive in the fields. Some bring small bundles of food for later. Some bring animals to help with plowing or carrying. Some simply come to observe the land they depend on. There is a shared understanding among them. The fields are not owned in isolation. They are shared responsibility, a shared survival. The farmer wipes his forehead lightly. The sun is now higher. Warm, but not harsh yet. There is a certain comfort in this stage of the day. The work has begun, but the heat has not fully arrived. Everything feels manageable, measured, steady. He moves toward another section of his field. Here, the soil is slightly different, more compact. He uses a wooden tool to loosen it, preparing it for planting or irrigation adjustment. The movement is repetitive, but repetition here does not feel empty. It feels grounding. Each action is connected to food that will come later, to bread, to stability, to life continuing through another season. A small bird lands briefly near the irrigation channel. It drinks, then lifts off again without urgency. The farmer watches it for a moment, not with surprise, but with quiet familiarity. Animals, water, soil, and people all share this same space. None of them dominate it fully. They simply exist together. Time moves forward without announcement. The sun climbs higher. The shadows become smaller. The morning begins to approach its warmer stage. The farmer continues working, slowly shifting between observation and action, between rest and movement. There is no strict separation between work and life here. They are the same thing, flowing together like the water in the channels beside him. And as the fields continue to wake fully under the rising light, the farmer remains within them, part of their rhythm, part of their silence, part of their steady unfolding day. The morning is not finished yet. It is only deepening. When the sun becomes heavy by the time the morning has fully settled into the land, the world begins to change its feeling. Not suddenly, but slowly, like a cloth being warmed by steady light. The sun climbs higher now, and its presence becomes stronger. It does not feel harsh yet, but it begins to press gently on the earth, as if reminding everything that the day is now fully awake. The fields that were cool and soft in the early morning begin to hold more warmth. The soil, once damp and quiet, now slowly releases the memory of water back into the air. The farmer continues working, but his movements are no longer the same as before. Earlier, everything felt light, almost easy. Now, each motion carries a little more weight, not from difficulty, but from heat. He adjusts his pace without thinking about it. This is something learned over a lifetime. The body adapts to the sun the way the river adapts to its banks. Naturally, quietly, without resistance. The village around the fields also shifts its rhythm. Some farmers step away briefly, walking toward shaded areas where water jars have been placed. Others remain a little longer, finishing small tasks before the heat grows stronger. There is no strict schedule here, only awareness. Awareness of the sun, awareness of the body, awareness of when to pause. The farmer stops near a narrow strip of shade created by a few palm trees at the edge of the field. He lowers himself slowly to the ground. The earth here is still warm, but less exposed to direct sunlight. The shade does not feel like darkness. It feels like relief, a soft boundary between effort and rest. He takes a clay jar beside him. Water inside is cool, kept from the morning collection. He drinks slowly, not quickly, not greedily, just enough to bring balance back to the body. Around him, other workers also rest in similar ways. Some sit in silence. Some quietly speak a few words, short and calm, about the fields, the water levels, the weather. No one raises their voice. The heat encourages stillness, not because it demands it, but because it gently persuades it. Above them, the sky is bright now, very bright, almost endless in its clarity. There are no clouds to soften the sun's presence. Only open space, stretching far beyond what the eye can hold. The light touches everything equally. Fields, river, village roofs, distant desert edges. All of it is held in the same warmth. The farmer looks toward his land while resting. From here, it appears quiet again, even though he knows it is full of life. Plants standing in steady rows. Water channels reflecting sharp light in small segments. Soil that has been shaped and reshaped by patient hands. Everything continues even when he is still. After a while, he rises again. Not quickly, not reluctantly, just naturally. There is still work to be done, but the pace has changed. Now the tasks are lighter, more careful, more focused on maintenance than effort. He walks along the irrigation channels again, checking water flow, adjusting small blockages made by soil or plant roots, guiding water gently where it is needed most. The sound of flowing water becomes more noticeable now. Not loud, but consistent. A soft movement that runs beneath everything else. It is one of the few constant sounds in this land. The river feeds the canals. The canals feed the fields. The fields feed the people. And the cycle continues without end. As the sun reaches its strongest point, the farmer pauses again. This is the moment when most movement slows. Not because work is finished, but because the land itself becomes too warm for unnecessary effort. Even the wind feels quieter now. It moves, but gently, as if careful not to disturb anything. He finds shade again, this time beneath a wider cluster of palm trees. The ground here is cooler. A faint scent of dry leaves and warm earth lingers in the air. He sits, leaning slightly back, letting the stillness settle around him. Nearby, other farmers also rest. Some close their eyes for a short time. Others simply watch the fields from a distance, as if listening to them without sound. There is no urgency in this part of the day. Time feels stretched, slow, heavy, but not uncomfortable. The farmer thinks less now, not in a forced way, but in the natural quieting that comes with heat and rest. His attention softens, from task, to breath, to presence, to simply being here. In the distance, the Nile continues its steady movement. Even when unseen directly, its influence is everywhere. The land depends on it. The people depend on it. And yet, it never feels controlled, only followed, only respected. A slight breeze passes through the palm leaves above. It creates a soft, shifting sound, almost like whispering, but not directed at anyone, just part of the land's natural rhythm. The farmer opens his eyes slowly again. The sun is still high. The day is not yet moving toward evening. There is still time before the work changes direction again. But for now, everything remains in this suspended middle, the warmest part of the day, the quietest part of effort. And in this stillness, life continues in a softer form, not paused, not stopped, just held gently in place by heat and light. The farmer breathes slowly and waits, without urgency, for the day to shift once again. When the light begins to soften, the middle of the day does not end all at once. It slowly loosens its hold. The sun, which had been sitting high and heavy above the fields, begins its quiet descent. It is not yet low, but something in the light begins to change. The brightness softens just a little. The air shifts, almost too gently to notice at first. The farmer feels this before he fully sees it. The heat is still present, but it no longer presses in the same way. It begins to lift, as if the land is being allowed to breathe again. He opens his eyes from rest. Not suddenly, slowly, as if waking from a thought rather than from sleep. Around him, others begin to move again. There is no signal, no voice calling them back to work. Only the shared understanding that the hardest part of the sun has passed. One by one they rise, stretching arms, adjusting garments, taking small sips of water, returning quietly to the rhythm of the fields. The farmer stands. His body feels different now. Not fully rested, but settled, ready to move again in a steady, unhurried way. He steps out from the shade of the palm trees and walks back toward his land. The ground is warm beneath his feet, but no longer burning, just holding the memory of the day. The fields look slightly different now, not because they have changed, but because the light has changed. The sharp brightness of midday has softened into something warmer, more golden. Shadows begin to return, stretching lightly across the rows of crops. Water in the irrigation channels reflects this new light. It shimmers gently, not bright like before, but calm. The farmer moves along the edges of his field. He begins again with simple tasks, checking the flow of water, guiding it gently with small movements of soil, opening one channel, closing another, balancing the needs of each section of land. This part of the day requires attention, but not force. The soil is more responsive now. The water moves more easily. Even the air feels lighter, carrying faint movement across the plants. He works slowly, each action blending into the next. No rush, no sharp motions, just a quiet continuation of care. Nearby, other farmers do the same. There is a shared rhythm that returns to the land. Not loud, not organized in any visible way, but deeply connected. Everyone moves at a similar pace, as if guided by something unseen. A pair of oxen move slowly across a distant field. Their steps are heavy but calm, guided by a farmer who walks beside them, holding a simple plow. The soil turns gently beneath their weight, not disturbed in anger, only opened, prepared. The scene feels slow, almost timeless. The farmer pauses again near a section where plants grow thicker. He bends slightly, running his fingers along the leaves, checking their strength, their color, their growth. These are small signs, but they tell him everything he needs to know. The land speaks through details, and he listens without effort. A soft breeze begins to pass more regularly now. It moves across the fields in quiet waves, carrying the scent of soil, water, and growing plants. The sound it creates is gentle, a low rustling, almost like distant breathing. The sky begins to change again. The bright white of midday shifts into a softer blue. Not darker yet, just calmer, less intense. The edges of the horizon become clearer. The world feels more open. The farmer continues walking, back and forth across his field, not counting time, not measuring progress, only responding to what is needed. This is how the work is done, not by force, but by presence. In one section, he notices a small blockage in a water channel. A clump of soil has gathered, slowing the flow. He kneels, uses his hand to gently remove it. The water responds immediately, moving forward again, quietly, naturally. Moments like this are simple, but they are everything. Without these small adjustments, the field cannot thrive. Without care, the balance is lost. So each small act becomes important. Even if it is done without thought, the sun lowers further, now clearly moving toward the horizon. Its light grows warmer, soft gold spreading across the land, touching the tops of plants, the surface of the water, the walls of distant homes. Everything begins to glow gently. The farmer straightens his back and looks out across the fields. There is no sudden feeling of completion, no sense that the work is finished, because it never truly is. But there is a quiet satisfaction, not loud, not celebrated, just present. The village in the distance begins to show signs of return. A few figures walking slowly back from the fields, carrying tools, leading animals, moving without urgency. The day is not over, but it is beginning to close. The farmer takes a slow breath. The air is cooler now, not cold, but softened, comfortable. He makes a few final adjustments to the irrigation paths, ensuring water will continue to flow where needed as evening settles. These final moments of work are gentle, less about effort, more about preparation. As the light continues to fade into warmer tones, the land itself seems to relax. The sharp edges of the day soften. The sounds grow quieter. Even the movement of people slows again. The farmer turns slightly toward the direction of his home. He does not leave immediately. Not yet. He stands for a moment longer, looking, not thinking, just seeing. The fields, the water, the distant trees, the slow sky above. All of it feels connected, held together in a quiet balance that does not need to be explained. And as the sun continues its slow descent, the day gently begins to move toward evening. Without rush, without sound, only a steady, peaceful transition. The gentle return to home. A few exchange soft words, but most simply move forward, guided by the same shared rhythm. The path back to the village is familiar, not marked with signs, but known through repetition, through years of walking the same ground. The air feels different now, cooler, gentler. A faint breeze moves more freely across the open land, brushing softly against skin and clothing. It carries the scent of earth, water, and distant cooking fires just beginning to rise from the village. The farmer walks slowly. There is no need to rush home. Home is not going anywhere. It waits, just as the fields waited in the morning. As he walks, the sky begins to change again. The soft gold deepens into warmer tones. Hints of orange and pale red stretch across the horizon, blending slowly with the fading blue above. The sun itself is now lower, larger. Its light feels softer, as if it is resting before disappearing. In the distance, the village becomes clearer. Small homes, close together, built from the same earth that surrounds them. Their shapes are simple. Their colors blend into the land. There is no separation between human life and the environment here. Everything feels connected. Children move near the edges of the village. Their voices are light, not loud, but filled with quiet energy after a day spent close to home. Some run slowly across open spaces. Some sit near doorways. Some watch the returning figures from the fields. There is no rush to greet, only a calm awareness that the day is folding back into itself. The farmer reaches the outer edge of the village. The ground beneath his feet changes slightly. Less soft soil, more packed earth shaped by many steps. He passes by others who have already returned. Some sit outside their homes. Some prepare small tasks for the evening. Some simply rest. He enters his home quietly. There is no door that shuts out the world completely. Only an opening that allows air, light, and life to pass gently through. Inside, the space is familiar, cooler now than it was during the heat of the day. The walls hold the memory of shade. The floor feels calm beneath his feet. His family is there, not waiting in anticipation, but simply present, moving through their own quiet rhythms. A small fire may already be prepared, clay pots arranged, simple food beginning to take shape. The farmer sets his tools aside, in a place where they always rest. There is no special ceremony in this, just habit, the kind that builds over time until it becomes part of the body's natural movement. He sits, slowly, letting the day settle out of him. The effort, the heat, the steady work, it does not leave all at once. It fades gently, like the light outside. The sounds of the village are soft, low voices, the faint crackle of fire, the distant movement of animals being guided into resting places. Nothing sharp, nothing sudden. Everything blends together into a calm, steady background. Food is simple, prepared without hurry. Grain that has been ground, bread formed by hand. Perhaps vegetables or lentils cooked slowly. Water poured into small cups. There is no excess, but there is enough. The farmer eats quietly, not rushed. Each movement is slow, measured. Food is not taken for granted here. It is understood. Every bite connected to the work of the day, to the soil, to the river, to time itself. Outside, the light continues to fade. The golden tones deepen, then soften further. The horizon dims. The sky begins to return to the quiet blues of evening. After eating, the farmer steps outside again. Not because he must, but because the air now invites it. Cooler, gentler, carrying the calm of night approaching. He stands near his home, looking out across the village. The shapes of people moving slowly. The faint glow of small fires. The outline of trees against the dimming sky. Everything feels softer now, less defined, more peaceful. The Nile continues its quiet journey nearby, unseen in detail, but always present. Its movement does not stop for day or night. It flows as it always has, steady, endless. The first stars begin to appear again, faint at first, then clearer, returning to their place in the sky without announcement. The farmer breathes slowly. The air fills his lungs easily now, no longer warm and heavy, but light, comfortable. There is nothing more to do, not in a demanding way. The day's work is behind him. Tomorrow will come in its own time, just as today did. He remains outside for a little while longer, standing, watching, letting the quiet settle deeper. And as the village gently moves toward rest, the night begins to take its place once again. Softly, without interruption, without sound. The quiet arrival of night, the last light of the day, fades without resistance. It does not disappear suddenly. It simply softens, then thins, then gently steps away from the land. The sky, once warm with gold and pale red, settles into deeper shades of blue. The horizon becomes quiet. The fields lose their sharp edges. The village grows softer, as if wrapped in a calm, familiar shadow. Night does not take over. It returns. The farmer remains outside his home for a little while longer. The air has cooled now in a way that feels natural and kind. It moves slowly, brushing across the skin without effort. The warmth of the day lingers faintly in the ground, but it no longer rises. The heat has gone. What remains is stillness. Around him, the village settles. Small fires burn lower. Voices grow quieter. The movement of people slows until it becomes almost unnoticeable. There is no clear moment when activity stops. It simply fades. Like light, he steps back inside. The interior of the home is dim, lit only by a small flame or the faint glow that enters from outside. The walls hold the coolness of evening now. The space feels close, but not heavy. Familiar, safe. His family prepares for rest in simple ways. There are no long routines, no complicated tasks, just quiet movements. A mat adjusted on the floor, a cloth folded, a final sip of water. The farmer lowers himself slowly onto the woven mat. The same place where he rested the night before. The same place where he will rest again tomorrow. The body remembers this space. It knows how to relax here. Outside, the sounds of night begin to form. Not loud, not sharp, just present. A faint movement of wind through leaves. The distant call of an animal. The quiet rhythm of the Nile continuing its endless flow. The farmer closes his eyes for a moment, then opens them again. The darkness is not complete. Small points of light appear through the opening of the home. Stars, clear, steady, unmoving. He watches them quietly, not counting, not naming, just seeing. The sky above Egypt feels vast, but also close. As if it rests gently over the land rather than far away. His breathing slows. Naturally, there is no effort in it. The body begins to release the day, the work, the heat, the steady movement. All of it softens. Beside him, his family settles into sleep. Breathing becomes even, quiet, shared. There is a sense of closeness in the stillness. Not spoken, but felt. The village outside is nearly silent now. Only small sounds remain. A shifting step, a distant movement, the low crackle of a fire fading into ash. Everything else has already drifted into rest. The farmer turns slightly, adjusting his position on the mat. The woven surface beneath him feels firm, but familiar. Comfort here is not softness. It is consistency. The air moves gently through the small opening in the wall, carrying with it the coolness of night and the faint scent of the river, always present, even in darkness. Time passes without measure. There is no need to track it, no need to mark it. Night exists in its own rhythm. Slow, unbroken. The farmer's thoughts begin to quiet, not forced, not pushed away. They simply become less clear, less present, like distant shapes fading into shadow. His breathing deepens, each breath steady, even, calm. The body knows what to do. It has done this every night, for as long as he has lived. Outside, the Nile continues, its water moving through darkness just as it did through light. It does not change. It does not pause. It flows. Always. The stars remain overhead. Clear. Silent. Watching over the land without movement. Without sound. The farmer drifts slowly toward sleep. Not suddenly, but gently, as if carried. And as the night deepens fully, the village rests. The fields rest. The river continues. And the world becomes quiet once more. Tomorrow will come again, in the same slow way, with the same light, the same work, the same steady rhythm. But for now, nothing moves quickly. Nothing demands attention. Everything is held in calm stillness. And in this stillness, the farmer sleeps. The deep night and the quiet turning of time, the night settles more deeply now, not as a sudden change, but as a slow thickening of stillness. The faint sounds that remained after evening have softened even further. What once could be heard with gentle attention now drifts far into the background, becoming part of something wider and more distant. The village is quiet, not empty, but resting. Inside the small home, the farmer sleeps. His breathing is steady, slow, even. There is no tension in his body. The work of the day has already been released into the quiet rhythm of the night. The woven mat beneath him holds his weight without complaint. It has done so for many nights, and it will continue to do so for many more. There is no need for softness here, only familiarity. The air inside the home is calm, cooler now than at any point during the day. It moves gently through the opening in the wall, carrying with it the scent of night. A mixture of earth, distant water, and the faint dryness of the surrounding land. Outside, the Nile continues its endless journey. Even in the deepest part of the night, it does not rest. Its movement is quiet, but constant. The surface reflects the stars when the light is clear, forming soft, trembling patterns that shift with the smallest movement of water. It is a presence that never leaves. Even when unseen, the sky above is full. Stars stretch across it in silent patterns, steady and unchanged. They do not flicker wildly. They hold their place, offering a quiet sense of order to the vast darkness. There is no urgency in the sky, no movement that demands attention, only stillness. In the distance, the desert lies beyond the fertile land. Silent, wide, unmoving. It does not intrude. It simply exists as it always has. A quiet boundary between what is cultivated and what remains untouched. The village sleeps within this balance, between river and desert, between life and stillness. Inside the home, the farmer shifts slightly in his sleep. A small movement, unconscious, natural. His breathing continues without change. Time moves, but it does not feel like movement. There are no markers in the night, no voices calling out the passing hours, no shadows shifting in visible ways, only a deep, unbroken quiet. Somewhere beyond the village, an animal stirs briefly. A soft sound, then silence again. It does not disturb the rest of the land. It becomes part of the night's quiet pattern. The farmer remains asleep, his body fully at rest now. The small strains of the day have settled into stillness. The repetition of work, of walking, of bending and lifting has become distant. Only the rhythm of breath remains. The air continues to cool very slightly, not in a sharp way, just enough to deepen the sense of comfort. The heat of the day feels far away now, almost forgotten. The stars move slowly across the sky. Their motion is too gentle to notice in a single moment. But over time, they shift. Quietly, without drawing attention to themselves. The Nile reflects them differently as they move. The patterns on the water change, forming new shapes that last only briefly before becoming something else. Nothing in the night is fixed completely, but nothing changes abruptly. The village remains still, homes closed in quiet rest, fires fully dimmed. Only faint traces of warmth remain in the ground where they once burned. Inside the home, the farmer's family sleeps beside him, close, breathing in the same quiet rhythm. There is a sense of shared rest, a calm connection that does not require words. The night deepens further. If it can be said to deepen, it becomes more complete, more settled, as if the world itself has reached a point of full rest. And in this depth, something begins to prepare, not visibly, not with sound, but quietly. The turning of time. Far beyond the horizon, the first hint of change begins again. So faint it cannot be seen yet. So gentle it cannot be felt. But it is there, the slow return of morning. The farmer does not wake yet. His sleep remains steady, undisturbed. The Nile continues. The stars continue. The land remains in stillness. And the cycle, which never truly stops, begins once again in silence. The night holds for a little longer. Soft, endless, calm, and everything rests within it. The first whisper of dawn, the night does not end all at once. Only felt. The stars remain visible, but they begin to fade very gently. Not disappearing, just stepping back. One by one, their brightness softens, as if making space for something that has not yet arrived. The Nile reflects this change. Its surface, once filled with sharp points of light, becomes darker and smoother. The reflections blur. The movement of water remains, but the sky above it begins to change its tone. A faint line appears along the horizon. Soft, pale, almost uncertain. It is not yet color. It is not yet light. But it is the beginning. The village does not wake immediately. It remains still. The home's quiet. The paths empty. The animals resting. There is no rush to meet the morning. The land allows the change to come slowly. Inside the home, the farmer shifts slightly. A small movement. His body begins to sense what his eyes have not yet seen. The return of day. The air moves gently through the opening in the wall, carrying with it the faintest hint of something new. Not warmth, not yet, but the absence of complete night. Time passes in this quiet transition. Moments stretch softly into one another. There is no clear line between night and morning, only a gradual blending. The sky grows lighter. Very slowly, a pale gray now replaces the deep darkness. The horizon becomes more defined. Shapes begin to form again. The outline of trees, the distant edges of the fields, the soft curve of the land. The farmer's breathing changes slightly, still calm, but shifting, moving closer to waking. Outside, the first sounds of life begin to return. Very faint, a bird stirring somewhere in the distance. Not singing fully, just a soft movement, a quiet presence. The Nile continues its endless flow, now reflecting a sky that is slowly becoming visible again. The water does not change its rhythm, only its reflection. The farmer opens his eyes. Slowly, without urgency, there is no sudden waking. Only a gentle return to awareness. He remains still for a moment, looking upward, seeing the faint light that has begun to enter the home. The darkness is no longer complete. He takes a slow breath. The air feels cool and calm, familiar, Around him, his family still sleeps. Their breathing steady, unbroken. The world has not yet fully awakened, only begun to shift. He sits up quietly. The movement is slow, careful not to disturb the stillness. Outside, the sky continues to change. Hints of pale color begin to appear. Soft blue, faint gold at the edge of the horizon. The first true signs of morning. The farmer stands. His feet touch the cool ground. The sensation is familiar, grounded. He moves toward the opening of the home and steps outside. The village is still quiet, but no longer fully asleep. There is a sense of waiting now, a quiet readiness. The fields stretch out ahead, now visible again in soft early light. The irrigation channels reflect the sky faintly. The plants stand still, holding the last of the night's coolness. The farmer pauses, just as he did the day before. At the edge of the waking world, the sky brightens a little more. The horizon glows softly. The sun is not yet visible, but it is close. He breathes in slowly. The air is fresh, cool, carrying the scent of earth and water. There is no rush. There is always time for the day to begin. And in this quiet moment, between night and morning, everything feels balanced, held gently between what has ended and what is about to begin again. The cycle continues, unbroken, steady, calm. And as the first true light of the new day prepares to rise, the farmer stands quietly, ready to step once more into the rhythm he knows so well. The sun rises again, the horizon brightens slowly. The pale glow that once rested gently at the edge of the world begins to grow stronger, spreading across the land in soft layers of light. The sky changes from gray to a faint blue, then from blue to something warmer. A quiet gold begins to form, not yet bright, but steady. The sun is near. The farmer stands at the edge of his home, still, calm, watching. This moment feels familiar, not because it repeats exactly, but because it always returns in the same gentle way. Morning does not rush him. It invites him. The village begins to wake again. Not all at once. One small movement at a time. A door opening softly. A figure stepping outside. The faint sound of water being poured into a clay jar. These are not loud sounds. They do not break the quiet. They blend into it. The farmer steps forward. His feet meet the earth with quiet certainty. The ground is cool from the night. It holds a softness that will fade as the day continues. He walks the same path as before, the path that leads from his home to the fields. It is not marked with lines or stones, but it is known, remembered by every step he has taken across it. As he moves, the first edge of the sun appears, just a thin curve. Bright, but not harsh. It rises slowly, lifting itself above the horizon as if guided by a steady, patient hand. Light touches the tops of the fields. The plants begin to glow softly. The irrigation channels catch the light and reflect it in small, trembling lines. Everything becomes clearer, more defined. The farmer continues walking. There is no hurry in his pace. The fields will meet him where they always do. The air feels fresh, cool, carrying a faint dampness from the river. The scent of soil is present again, gentle and grounding. Behind him, more villagers begin to follow their own paths, some heading toward nearby fields, others carrying tools, all moving in the same quiet rhythm. The farmer reaches the edge of his land. He pauses, as he did before, not out of habit alone, but out of quiet awareness. The sun rises further, now half visible. Its light spreads wider, touching the distant palms, the low rooftops of the village, the surface of the Nile, which reflects it in a long, shimmering path. The world is no longer in shadow, but it is not yet bright. This is the soft middle of sunrise, a moment that feels balanced. The farmer steps into the field. The soil beneath his feet is cool and slightly damp. It responds to his weight without resistance. He begins again, not as something new, but as a continuation. He walks along the irrigation channels, checking their flow, watching how the water moves. It is slower now than it will be later in the day, calmer, reflecting the early light. He kneels, touches the soil, feels its texture, its moisture. The land speaks through these small details, and he listens as he always does. Nearby, other farmers begin their work. Their movements are quiet, steady. The sound of tools meeting earth begins again. Soft, rhythmic. The sun continues to rise, now fully above the horizon. Its light grows stronger, but still gentle. The warmth begins to return slowly. The farmer lifts his tool, a simple wooden hoe, worn smooth by time. He uses it to shape the soil. Small movements, careful adjustments. Nothing forced, nothing rushed. Lift, place, press. The same rhythm, returning again. The fields awaken under the growing light. The plants stand quietly. The water moves steadily. The soil holds everything together. A bird crosses the sky. Low, calm. It does not rush. It follows its own path, just as the farmer follows his. The village behind him becomes more active, but never loud, always held within a calm boundary. The Nile flows as it did before, unchanged, carrying water through the land, feeding the fields, sustaining the life that depends on it. The farmer moves from one part of his field to another, observing, adjusting, continuing. There is no beginning here, and no true ending, only a cycle, repeating, steady, endless. The sun climbs higher. The day begins again, just as it did before, just as it will again, and the farmer remains within it, part of the land, part of the rhythm, part of the quiet, unbroken flow of time. He does not think of yesterday. He does not think of tomorrow, only of what is here. Now, the soil beneath his hands, the water moving beside him, the light growing above him. Everything is simple. Everything is enough. And as the morning deepens once more, the cycle continues without pause. Softly, naturally, endlessly. The quiet rhythm that never breaks the morning continues without interruption. The sun, now fully above the horizon, rises slowly into a clearer sky. Its light spreads wider across the land, touching every surface with a gentle, growing warmth. Nothing changes suddenly. Everything unfolds. The farmer moves through his field with the same steady rhythm. His steps are familiar. His hands know what to do before thought arrives. There is no need to decide each action. The work has become part of him. He walks along the irrigation channels again. Water flows quietly beside him. It moves where it is guided, following the gentle paths shaped by hands over many seasons. He watches it closely, not with urgency, but with quiet attention. In one place, the water gathers slightly more than needed. He bends down, scoops a small amount of soil with his hand, and shifts it carefully. The flow changes, not forced, just guided. This is how the land is cared for. Not controlled, but understood. The morning air is still soft. The heat has not yet grown strong. A light breeze passes through the fields from time to time, moving across the tops of the plants and carrying a faint rustling sound with it. The sound is low, steady, like breath. The farmer pauses briefly. He stands still, looking across the rows of crops, each one planted with intention, each one part of a cycle that has repeated many times before. These fields do not belong only to this day. They belong to many days, many seasons, many years. The rhythm of farming here follows something larger than a single sunrise or sunset. It follows the Nile. The river rises and falls through the year. It brings water. It brings fertile soil. It shapes the land in ways that cannot be rushed or changed. The farmer understands this without needing to speak it. There are times when the fields are flooded, when water spreads wide across the land, covering everything in a quiet, shining layer. And there are times when the water recedes, leaving behind dark, rich soil, ready to be shaped again. Now, in this moment, the land is in its growing stage. The water is guided carefully. The plants are tended with patience. Everything moves forward at its own pace. The farmer continues his work, step by step, row by row. He uses his tool to loosen soil where it has hardened slightly. Not deeply, just enough to allow air and water to pass through. Each motion is measured. Even, lift, press, move. The repetition is steady, but it does not feel empty. It feels grounding. Nearby, other farmers move in similar ways. Their actions align without effort. No one directs them. No one calls out instructions. And yet, there is a quiet harmony in the movement of many people working together. The sun rises higher. The light becomes brighter. Shadows begin to shorten. The warmth increases slowly. It does not overwhelm. It builds. The farmer wipes his hand across his forehead. A simple gesture, not of strain, but of awareness. The day is moving forward. He walks to another part of the field. Here, the plants are younger, smaller, their leaves still soft. He moves more carefully here, his steps lighter, his touch gentler. Growth takes time. It cannot be hurried, only supported. He kneels again, examining the soil closely, feeling its texture, its moisture, the way it holds together. Everything he needs to know is here, in the earth itself. The Nile continues its steady flow in the distance, unseen but always present. Its influence reaches every part of the land, every plant, every path, every breath. The farmer stands, looking out across the fields once more. The light now fully covers the land. Morning has settled completely. This moment feels both new and familiar. It is the same work, the same land, the same rhythm, and yet it is also a new day. The repetition does not feel like repetition, because each moment is slightly different. The light shifts, the air changes, the soil responds in small ways. Time here does not move in sharp lines. It flows. Like water, the farmer continues, without thinking of beginning or ending, only continuing. Around him, life moves in quiet balance. Birds pass overhead. Water flows through narrow channels. The wind moves softly across the fields. Nothing stands alone. Everything is connected. The sun climbs higher still. The day deepens. The warmth grows. And the farmer remains within it. Steady, calm, unhurried. Part of the land. Part of the river. Part of the rhythm that never breaks. The work continues. As it always has. As it always will. And the morning stretches forward, gently carrying everything with it. The slow return of the water still flows. Clear, steady, but now it reflects a brighter sky, a sharper light. He pauses, looking down at the movement. The surface trembles gently. Small ripples form where the water meets the uneven edges of the earth. These small details remain the same, even as the day changes around them. Nearby, other farmers continue their work, but their movements begin to slow slightly, not because they are tired, but because the body senses what is coming. The sun rises higher. Shadows grow shorter. The clear lines of the morning soften into a brightness that spreads evenly across everything. The farmer lifts his tool again, working the soil in small sections. But now, between each movement, there is a brief pause. A moment of stillness. A breath. The rhythm changes. Only slightly, but enough to be felt. Lift. Pause. Press. Pause. Move. The land itself seems to respond to the growing warmth. The plants hold still. The leaves no longer move as freely without the earlier breeze. The air rests. The farmer wipes his hands slowly against the fabric he wears. The warmth is now present on his skin. Not heavy, but noticeable. He looks toward the sky. The blue above is wide and uninterrupted. There are no clouds. Nothing to soften the sun's path. This is expected. This is known. The day always moves in this way. From cool to warm. From gentle light to steady heat. He walks toward another section of his field. This part has received less water. He kneels, adjusts the edge of the channel slightly, guiding a thin stream toward the drier soil. The water responds immediately, moving quietly into its new path, spreading, soaking, disappearing slowly into the ground. These small changes are enough. They do not require force, only attention. The farmer stands again. His movements are still calm, but slower now, more deliberate. The heat continues to build, not all at once, but steadily, like a presence that grows without speaking. In the distance, a few farmers begin to step away from their work, moving toward shaded areas. Palm trees, simple structures, places where the sun does not reach directly. The farmer notices, but does not follow immediately. He continues for a little while longer, finishing small tasks, completing what feels natural to complete. Time passes quietly, without announcement. The sun reaches a higher point. Its light now strong, clear, unbroken. The farmer pauses once more, this time longer. He stands still, breathing slowly. The air feels heavier now, not uncomfortable, but full. He looks across his field. Everything is in place. Water flows where it should. The soil has been tended. The plants stand as they did before. There is no urgency to continue. Only the understanding that the next part of the day has arrived. He begins to walk, not toward another task, but toward rest. The path to shade is short, but it feels like a quiet transition. From movement to stillness. As he steps beneath the palm trees, the light changes immediately. The brightness softens. The ground cools slightly. The air feels easier to breathe. He lowers himself to the earth. Slowly, carefully. Around him, others have gathered. Some already resting. Some just arriving. No one speaks loudly. No one rushes. A clay jar is placed nearby. Water inside remains cool, protected from the sun. The farmer reaches for it, takes a slow drink. The water moves through him calmly, restoring balance. He leans back slightly, letting his body settle. The sounds of the fields grow softer again. Not gone, just distant. The rustle of plants, the faint movement of water, the quiet presence of others. The sun continues its climb, now nearing its highest point. But here, in the shade, time feels slower, gentler. The farmer closes his eyes for a moment, not fully asleep, but resting. The heat of the day surrounds the land, but does not disturb the stillness here. Everything moves into a quieter rhythm once again. And as midday approaches, the world gently prepares for another pause. Another moment of calm within the steady flow of the day. The cycle continues, without interruption, without urgency, only balance, only rhythm. And in the soft shade beneath the Egyptian sun, the farmer rests once more. The stillness at the center of the day, midday, does not arrive with sound. It settles slowly over the land, as if the sun itself has decided to pause at its highest point and rest there for a while. The light is now full, clear, unbroken. It falls evenly across the fields, the village, the river, and the distant edges of the desert. There are no long shadows, only brightness. Beyond the shade, the land feels quiet in a different way. Not the quiet of night, not the soft quiet of early morning, but a stillness shaped by warmth. A stillness that gently slows everything down. The farmer remains beneath the palm trees, resting. His body is calm, settled. The movement of the morning has softened into stillness. The ground beneath him is cooler here, protected from the direct sun. It holds a quiet comfort, not soft, but steady. He breathes slowly, each breath even, unforced. The air is warm, but not heavy in the shade. It moves just enough to feel alive. Around him, others rest as well. Some sit upright, some lie back, some close their eyes. There are no loud conversations, only occasional soft words. Short, quiet, then silence again. The fields beyond the shade remain, but they feel distant now, as if held behind a thin veil of light. The plants stand still, their leaves no longer moving. The breeze has nearly disappeared. The irrigation channels continue their slow flow, but even the water seems quieter. Its movement steady, but softened by the brightness around it. The Nile moves as it always does, but its surface now reflects a sky so bright that the details fade into light. Time stretches, not in a way that feels long, but in a way that feels open, unmeasured. The farmer shifts slightly, adjusting his position, not out of discomfort, but out of natural movement. He opens his eyes for a moment, looks out toward the fields. The light is strong, almost too bright to hold for long. He closes his eyes again, returning to rest. This is not sleep, not fully, but something close, a quiet drifting. The body knows this moment well. It has lived it many times. It does not resist it. The heat of the sun reaches its peak, not growing further, just holding. Nothing demands effort now. Nothing asks for movement. Even the sounds of animals are quiet, hidden, resting as well. The village remains still, homes closed against the light, paths empty. Everything has paused, not completely, but enough to feel like a gentle suspension. The farmer's thoughts fade again, not forced, just softening. The rhythm of breath becomes the only clear movement. In, out, slow, even. A faint breeze returns for a moment, passing lightly through the palm leaves above, creating a soft, dry whisper, then fading again. The shade holds its place, a small space of relief within the wider brightness. Time continues to pass, but without markers, without change that can be easily seen. The sun remains high, the light remains strong, the stillness remains. And within this stillness, there is no urgency, no pressure, no need to move forward quickly, only rest, only quiet. The farmer remains where he is, part of the pause, part of the balance. The land waits, the work waits. The day holds itself in this moment, and slowly, almost without being noticed, the sun will begin to move again. But for now, everything stays as it is, calm, warm, unmoving. And in the center of the day, beneath the Egyptian sun, the world rests. When the stillness begins to lift, midday does not end all at once. It loosens slowly, almost as quietly as it arrived. For a long time, nothing seems to change. The sun still stands high. The light remains bright and steady. The air holds its warmth without movement. But beneath this stillness, something begins to shift. The breeze returns first, very gently, so soft it is almost not there. It moves through the leaves of the palm trees in faint, quiet motions. The dry whisper of their movement touches the air, then fades, then returns again. The stillness begins to open. The farmer feels this change before he fully sees it. His breathing shifts slightly. His body, which had settled deeply into rest, begins to wake without effort. He opens his eyes. Slowly, the brightness beyond the shade is still strong, but it no longer feels as heavy. The air seems easier now, moving just enough to carry away the weight of the sun. Around him, others begin to stir. Small movements. A hand adjusting a garment. A slow stretch of the arms. Someone sitting up after leaning back in quiet rest. No one rises quickly. There is no signal. Only a shared understanding that the day is changing again. The farmer remains seated for a moment longer, watching, noticing. The light beyond the shade has softened slightly, not dim, but less intense. The sun has begun its slow descent, too gradual to see in a single glance, but present. He reaches for the clay jar beside him, lifts it carefully, drinks slowly. The water is still cool. It moves through him with quiet ease. He sets the jar down again, and after a moment, he stands. The ground beneath his feet feels warm, but no longer overwhelming. The air, though still carrying heat, feels lighter, more open. He steps out from beneath the shade. The light touches him again, but it is different now, softer. The fields come back into clearer focus. The brightness that once flattened everything into stillness now allows shapes and movement to return. The farmer walks slowly back toward his land, each step unhurried, measured. Around him, others begin the same return, some already moving ahead, some just rising from rest. The quiet rhythm of the afternoon begins to form, not as strong as the morning, not as still as midday, but balanced somewhere in between. He reaches the edge of his field once more. Pauses, just for a moment. The plants stand as they did before. The irrigation channels still carry water. The soil holds the warmth of the sun. Nothing has changed suddenly, only gently. He steps forward, returning to his work. The movements are slower now, not because of fatigue, but because the rhythm has changed. He walks along the channels again, checking their flow. The water moves more freely now in the softer light, reflecting a sky that is slowly shifting. He bends slightly, adjusting a small section of soil, guiding the water. The sound of movement returns to the fields. Soft, steady. Other farmers continue their work nearby, their actions quiet, their presence calm. The breeze passes again, a little stronger now, moving across the plants, creating a gentle rustling sound that was absent before. The farmer lifts his tool, works the soil lightly, not with the steady repetition of the morning, but with a softer touch. Lift, pause, press. The rhythm continues, but in a quieter form. The sun lowers slowly. Its light grows warmer. Golden tones begin to return to the edges of the fields. The air carries a different feeling now. Not the cool freshness of morning, not the heavy warmth of midday, but something balanced, gentle. The farmer moves from one part of his field to another, observing, adjusting, continuing. Time flows forward again, no longer stretched, no longer paused. The village in the distance begins to show faint signs of life returning as well. Small movements, shadows shifting, figures appearing along the edges of homes. The day is moving toward evening, but it is not there yet. This is the quiet return, the space between rest and completion. The farmer continues. Without hurry, without force, the land responds. The water flows. The plants stand. Everything remains connected. Everything remains calm. The light softens further. The shadows begin to grow longer. And as the afternoon gently unfolds, the rhythm of the fields returns once again. Steady, quiet, endless. The farmer remains within it, part of the movement, part of the balance. And the day continues its slow, peaceful path forward. The afternoon, turning to gold, the afternoon does not rush toward evening. It drifts, slowly, quietly, as if the day is careful not to disturb itself while it changes. The sun, now lower than before, begins to soften in both light and feeling. It is still bright, but no longer sharp. Its intensity has eased, like a voice speaking more gently after a long silence. Across the fields, everything begins to shift again. Not suddenly, but steadily. The farmer continues his work, but the rhythm has changed once more. The urgency of morning is gone. The stillness of midday has faded. Now there is balance, a calm, flowing movement that sits between effort and ease. The soil beneath his feet carries a warm memory of the day. It is not hot anymore, just held, comfortably warm, as if it has been shaped by hours of steady light. He walks slowly along the irrigation channels. The water now reflects a richer color, not just brightness, but gold. Soft gold that stretches across the surface in broken, shimmering lines. The fields look different in this light, more defined, more peaceful. The plants cast longer shadows that stretch gently across the earth, marking time without sound. The farmer pauses for a moment. He looks across his land. Everything is still working. Everything is still alive. There is a quiet satisfaction in this sight. Not joy that is loud or sudden, but something deeper, something steady. He kneels again, touches the soil, feels its texture once more. It is dry on the surface now, but still holds moisture beneath. The land is balanced, as it should be at this time of day. Nearby, other farmers begin to slow their movements. Not stopping yet, but easing. Their work becomes lighter, more focused on small adjustments than larger tasks. The breeze returns again, stronger now. It moves across the fields in slow waves, carrying the scent of earth, water, and growing plants. The sound it creates is gentle, a soft rustle that travels through the rows of crops. Almost like the land itself is breathing more freely again. The sun continues to lower. Its light grows warmer, deeper. The gold begins to mix with soft orange at the horizon. The farmer wipes his hand across his forehead again. The day has cooled slightly, but the memory of heat still remains in the air. He adjusts one of the irrigation paths for the final time, ensuring water will continue to flow evenly into the evening. It is a small task, but important. Lift, shift, set. Simple actions, carried out with care. Around him, the village begins to show clearer signs of evening preparation. Figures moving slowly back from distant fields. Tools being gathered. Animals guided gently toward resting areas. There is no rush in any of it, only transition. The farmer stands again, looks once more across the land. The fields glow softly under the lowering sun. Everything feels complete for the moment. Not finished, but settled. The sky deepens in color. Gold turning into amber. Amber turning into soft orange. The edges of the horizon begin to blur gently into evening tones. The shadows grow longer now, stretching across the ground in quiet lines, marking the slow passing of time without needing words. The farmer begins to walk, not with urgency, but with acceptance. The day is moving forward on its own. Each step feels lighter than the morning. The work is not gone, but it is no longer heavy. He passes other farmers on their way back. Silent acknowledgments, small nods, shared understanding without speech. The river continues to flow in the distance, unchanged, steady, its surface now reflecting the deepening colors of the sky above. Everything is beginning to align toward evening, not as an ending, but as a soft return. The farmer reaches the edge of his field once more, stops. He watches the sun lower further, now close to the horizon. Its light spreads wide across the land in final warm waves. The village becomes more visible again, more movement returning, more presence gathering, but still calm, still slow. The farmer takes a final look at his field for the day. Everything is in place. Everything is as it should be. He turns, begins walking home. The air is cooler now, gentle, carrying the softness of evening. The land behind him glows in fading gold. A final warmth before night begins to arrive again. And as the afternoon deepens into evening, the rhythm of the day quietly prepares to shift once more. Steady, balanced, unbroken, the farmer moves with it, as he always has, as he always will. The way back to quiet the sun lowers gently now, as if it has grown tired in a peaceful way. Not exhausted, just ready to let the day soften into evening. The farmer walks away from the fields. Each step feels familiar, like a path his body remembers even without thought. The land behind him glows in fading gold. The irrigation channels catch the last light and hold it briefly before it slips away. There is no hurry in his movement. The work of the field has settled for the day. Nothing is left undone in a way that demands urgency. Only continuation. Only tomorrow waiting quietly ahead. Around him, others walk the same path back to the village. Some alone, some beside one another. No loud conversation rises above the soft movement of footsteps and the distant sound of water. The air has changed again. Cooler now. Gentle. The kind of coolness that does not shock the body, but slowly comforts it after the long warmth of the day. The farmer breathes more deeply as he walks. Each breath feels easier than before. The weight of the sun is no longer pressing. Only memory remains. The village grows closer. Simple homes appear more clearly as the light fades. Their shapes are soft against the sky, blending into the earth they were built from. Mud brick walls holding the day's warmth. Palm roofs beginning to cool. Small movements appear near the homes. People returning. Children sitting near doorways. Quiet voices exchanging simple words. Nothing loud. Nothing rushed. The farmer reaches his home. He pauses at the entrance. Just for a moment. Not to think. Only to transition. From outside to inside. From work to rest. He steps inside. The air is cooler than outside now. The space feels familiar in a deeper way than before. Like it has been waiting for him to return. His family is there. Moving gently through evening routines. No strict order. Only natural flow. A small fire or cooking space is already prepared. Clay pots sit nearby. Simple food is being made slowly. The scent of grain and cooked lentils begins to fill the space. Warm, soft, comforting. The farmer sits down. His body lowers carefully, as if it understands the importance of rest now. The ground beneath him feels steady, reliable. Water is poured into a clay cup. He drinks slowly, not quickly. There is no need to rush anything anymore. Outside, the light continues to fade. The gold of the afternoon becomes softer, then deeper, then quieter. Evening begins to settle fully over the village. The sounds outside become fewer. The movement slows. The world shifts inward. Food is shared. Simple, grounded in what the land provides. Bread made from grain. Warm, cooked foods that carry the effort of the day within them. The farmer eats in silence for a while. Not silence of emptiness, but silence of calm presence. Each bite feels connected to the field, to the water, to the sun, to the slow rhythm of the day that brought it here. Outside, the sky darkens further. The first stars begin to appear again, one by one, soft points of light returning to their place above the land. The village quiets. Fires dim slightly. Voices lower. Even movement becomes slower. After eating, the farmer steps outside again. Just for a moment. The air is cooler now, even more gentle than before. He stands near his home, looking out across the village. Everything is settling. Everything is slowing. The Nile continues its quiet movement nearby, reflecting faint light from the emerging stars. Never stopping, never rushing, always steady. The farmer breathes in the evening air. It feels lighter than the day, softer than the afternoon. There is no more work today, only rest approaching. only night arriving slowly. He returns inside, lies down on his mat, the same place he has rested before, the same place he will rest again. The space around him is dim now, warm from the day, cooling slowly. His family rests nearby, their presence quiet, comforting. The sounds of the village fade further, until only the faintest traces remain. The farmer closes his eyes, not immediately asleep, but settling, letting the day release him gently. The stars outside grow clearer. The sky deepens. Night begins its full return. And as the village drifts into quiet rest once again, the cycle of the day comes to a gentle pause. Not an ending, only a resting point. The farmer sleeps, and the land rests with him. Night settles over the river valley. Night arrives without announcement. It does not rush in. It simply becomes present, like a slow shadow stretching across the land until everything is gently held inside it. The village, once filled with small movements and fading light, now rests completely. Inside the farmer's home, the space is quiet. The air has cooled further now, carrying the softness of the night. The walls, warmed earlier by the sun, slowly release that warmth back into the surroundings. Everything feels balanced again. The farmer sleeps, deeply, steadily. His body, which carried the rhythm of the fields all day, now rests without resistance. There is no movement except breath. In, out, slow, even. Outside, the Nile continues to flow. It does not change its pace for day or night. It moves as it always has, carrying water through the dark valley. Its surface reflects the sky when it can be seen, and when it cannot, it still moves as if remembering the light. The village is still now. Homes are quiet. Doors close softly. No footsteps on the paths. No voices carried through the air. Only silence, layered gently over everything. The sky above is wide and full. Stars return in their steady patterns. Not new, not different, just familiar. Watching over the land in a way that feels constant and unchanged. A faint breeze moves through the palm trees at the edge of the village. It does not disturb anything. It only passes through, a quiet reminder that the world is still breathing. In the fields beyond the homes, nothing moves. The soil rests. The plants stand still. The irrigation channels hold their water in silence. Everything is waiting, but not in tension, only in rest. The farmer shifts slightly in his sleep. A small movement, then stillness again. The body adjusts itself without waking. Time passes in a way that cannot be measured here. There are no markers, no changes in light or sound, only continuation. Far above, the stars slowly move across the sky. Not in a way that could be easily noticed, but over time they shift, like quiet thoughts passing through darkness. The river reflects nothing now but darkness and faint memory. It continues its journey, through land, through silence, through night. Inside the home, breathing remains steady, shared, calm, the kind of rest that comes after a day lived fully in rhythm with the land. The night deepens further, not becoming heavier, only more complete, more settled. There is no urgency anywhere in the village now. No task waiting, no movement required. Everything has returned to stillness. The same stillness that existed before dawn. The same stillness that will hold until morning returns again. The cycle is not broken, is simply resting. And within this rest, the farmer sleeps. As the land around him rests, as the river continues its quiet path, as the stars hold their place in the sky. Nothing ends here. Nothing truly begins here either. Only a pause. A gentle, endless pause within the flow of time. And so the night continues. Soft, wide, unmoving, until somewhere far beyond the horizon, the first faint promise of dawn will one day return again. But not yet. For now, everything rests. The deepest hours before dawn the night reaches its quietest point. Not because anything changes suddenly, but because everything that could move has already settled into stillness. The village lies under a vast sky filled with stars, and even the stars seem calmer now, as if they too are resting in their distant way. Inside the small home, the farmer sleeps without disturbance. His body is fully at ease now. The weight of the day is gone. The rhythm of work, water, soil, and sun has softened into something deeper than thought. Only breath remains. Slow, steady, unbroken. The air in the room is cool. Not cold, just cool enough to make the stillness feel even more complete. The walls hold the memory of warmth from the day, but that warmth no longer presses outward. It lingers quietly, like something remembered rather than felt. Outside, the Nile continues its endless movement. It flows through darkness without change. No sound rises from it that carries far. Only the quiet suggestion of water moving through land that depends on it. The fields remain still. No wind moves through them now. The plants stand in silent rows, resting after the long day of sun. The soil holds moisture beneath its surface, hidden but present, waiting patiently for the next cycle of care. The village is almost completely silent. Even the smallest sounds have faded now. No footsteps, no voices, only the faint presence of night itself. The farmer shifts slightly in his sleep, a natural adjustment, the body settling deeper into rest. Then stillness again. Above, the stars continue their slow passage across the sky. They do not rush. They do not change brightness. They simply remain steady and distant, as they always have been. Time moves without markers. There is no sense of beginning or end in this part of the night. Only continuation, only quiet passing. The breeze returns once more. Very light, almost unnoticeable. It moves through palm leaves at the edge of the village, creating a soft, dry whisper that fades as soon as it arrives. Inside the home, everything remains still. The sleeping family breathes in the same slow rhythm. There is comfort in this shared quiet. Not spoken, only felt. The river continues its path through the valley. It does not pause. It does not hesitate. It simply flows, carrying life even in darkness. The night deepens again, if it could deepen further. It becomes more complete, more settled, as if the world has fully exhaled and now holds that breath gently. No part of the land resists this stillness. The desert beyond the valley rests. The fields rest. The homes rest. Even the air itself feels still. The farmer sleeps on, unaware of time, unaware of the sky slowly turning above him. Only rest remains, and in this deepest part of the night, the world feels paused but not stopped, held gently between what has passed and what has not yet begun again. The cycle continues quietly, not visible, not urgent, just present, and everything waits peacefully for the faintest first sign that another morning will eventually return. The first return of light, the night does not break. It simply begins to loosen, very slowly, so gently that for a long time, nothing feels different at all. The sky remains dark. The village remains still. The river continues its quiet movement through the valley. Everything stays where it is, held in deep rest. Inside the small home, the farmer continues to sleep. His breathing is steady, unchanged. The body is fully at peace now, no longer carrying the weight of yesterday's work or anticipating tomorrow's return. Only rest exists here. Outside, the stars are still present. Clear, familiar, but something subtle begins to happen among them. Not a disappearance, not a fading, only a slight softening of contrast, so delicate it is almost impossible to notice at first. The horizon, far beyond the fields, begins to hold a faint suggestion of change. Not light yet, not color, only a difference in the darkness itself. A space where night feels just slightly less deep. The Nile reflects this change in the smallest way. Its surface, still dark, now carries a softer sheen in places where the sky meets water. Nothing obvious, only a quiet anticipation carried through reflection. The village remains asleep. No movement returns yet. No sound rises, but the stillness is no longer absolute. It begins to feel like waiting again. Inside the home, the farmer shifts slightly. A natural movement, the kind that happens as sleep begins to move toward its lighter edge. Still asleep, but closer now to waking than before. The air inside the home feels slightly different. Not warmer, not cooler, just more open. As if the night is slowly releasing its hold on the space. Outside, the first true hint of dawn begins. A faint pale line appears far along the horizon, so soft it almost blends into the darkness. But it is there, quiet, patient. The stars remain above, but their presence begins to feel more distant. Not fading quickly, just becoming less dominant as the sky slowly prepares for change. The farmer breathes in a slightly deeper rhythm, still asleep, but the body begins to sense the shift in the world around it. The return of morning is not seen. It is felt. The fields remain still, but the darkness over them is no longer as complete as before. Shapes begin to separate gently from the night. The outlines of land become slightly more defined. The river continues its steady movement. It does not change its path. It simply carries the night forward, as it always does, into the space where morning will soon arrive. A faint breeze moves again through the palm trees, so light it barely disturbs the leaves. But it signals movement in a world that had been still for so long. Inside the home, everything remains quiet. The sleeping family unchanged. The same calm rhythm of breath shared in darkness. The sky slowly begins to shift again. Not suddenly, not brightly, but with patience. Darkness softens into deep blue at the very edge of the world. The farmer is still asleep, but the cycle has already begun to turn. Quietly, naturally, without interruption, the village remains in rest. But the night is no longer absolute. Something new is forming just beyond sight. The first cycle is complete, and yet it never truly ended. It only moved forward, from morning to midday, from heat to evening, from night to the edge of dawn again. A rhythm without beginning, a rhythm without end. And as the faintest promise of light returns to the horizon, the world holds still for just a little longer. Before everything begins again, the farmer sleeps, the river flows, the sky waits, and the cycle of the day quietly turns once more. The soft return of morning once again. The darkness does not vanish. It simply thins, like fabric slowly becoming lighter in the first touch of unseen light. The world remains quiet, but it no longer feels completely still. Something is returning. Inside the small home, the farmer is still asleep. His breathing remains slow and even, unchanged by the shift in the sky beyond the walls. He rests deeply, as if held gently by the night itself. Outside, the horizon begins to change more clearly now. A pale line spreads wider than before. Not bright, not golden yet, just a soft, growing presence of light that begins to separate earth from sky. The stars, once steady and dominant, now feel quieter. Not gone, but less certain in their place, as if stepping back to allow something else to return. The Nile reflects this change in faint layers. Dark water carrying faint, broken hints of the sky's early transformation. It moves as it always does, patient, unhurried, unchanged in its rhythm. The village is still asleep, but the stillness is no longer deep in the same way. It feels lighter now, as if the world is beginning to loosen its rest. Inside the home, the farmer shifts slightly, a small movement, natural, the body responding to a change it does not yet see. The air begins to feel different, not warmer, not cooler, but more open, as if space itself is gently expanding with the returning morning. Far beyond the fields, the horizon continues to brighten. The faint line of light grows a little stronger, still soft, still quiet, but no longer uncertain. The fields remain still, but their outlines are now easier to see. Rows of crops, paths of earth, narrow channels holding the memory of water. The farmer continues to sleep, but his rest begins to move closer to its natural end. Not suddenly, not sharply, just gradually, like everything else in this world. A faint breeze moves again through the palms. It is gentle, almost unnoticeable, but it carries the feeling of transition. Night giving way, day returning. The river continues its endless path. It does not pause for this change. It simply flows through it, as it has through every night and every morning before it. The sky now shows a soft gradient. Deep night fading into pale blue at the edge of the world. Still calm, still slow, but unmistakably shifting. Inside the home, everything remains peaceful. The sleeping family still breathing in quiet rhythm. No urgency touches them. Only the natural pull of rest nearing its end. The farmer stirs again. A slightly deeper movement this time. Still asleep, but closer now to waking than before. The village remains silent, but no longer feels completely paused. It feels like it is preparing, without intention, without awareness, just through time itself. The first suggestion of light begins to touch the tops of distant palm trees. Not full illumination, just a faint outline forming where darkness once held everything together. The sky continues to brighten slowly, layer by layer, like a thought returning after deep silence. And then, quietly, the rhythm resets, not as something new, but as something familiar returning again. The farmer sleeps, the river flows, the land waits, and the night, having held the world in calm rest, gently begins to release it once more. The cycle continues, soft, steady, endless. The cycle completes and begins again. The first light of dawn does not arrive with force. It arrives like a quiet memory returning. Slow, soft, unhurried. The horizon, once deep and dark, now holds a steady glow. Not bright yet, but persistent. A pale warmth spreads gently across the edge of the world, as if the sky is remembering how to shine. Inside the small home, the farmer is still asleep. His breathing is calm and even. The body rests in deep comfort, held by the final moments of night. Nothing disturbs him. Nothing rushes him. Outside, the stars begin to fade more clearly now. Not all at once, but one by one, they step back into the growing light. Their presence becomes softer, quieter, more distant. The Nile reflects this transformation in long, dim ribbons of movement. Dark water slowly touched by the earliest hint of morning. It does not change its pace. It simply carries the night forward into day, as it always has. The village begins to feel different again. Still silent, still resting, but no longer fully wrapped in darkness. The shape of homes, paths, and trees becomes more defined. Inside the home, the farmer stirs. A deeper movement this time. His body begins to return to awareness, guided not by urgency, but by rhythm. The same rhythm that has guided him every day before this one. The air feels lighter now. Not warm yet. Not cool in the same way as night, but balanced in between, as if the world is holding its breath before fully waking. Far along the horizon, the first hint of sunlight begins to appear. A thin edge of gold forming behind the pale blue of early morning. Still gentle, still patient. The fields outside slowly re-emerge from shadow. Rosa crops regain their shape. Irrigation channels begin to glint faintly. The land is becoming visible again. The farmer opens his eyes. slowly, without rush. The darkness inside the home is no longer complete. Soft light is beginning to enter through the opening. He lies still for a moment, listening, feeling the quiet shift of another morning arriving. Outside, the sky continues to brighten. The pale gold deepens slightly. The sun is close now, though still unseen. The village begins to stir. Very gently, a door opening, a soft movement of footsteps, the return of life after rest. The farmer sits up. His movement is steady, familiar. There is no hesitation in it, only continuation. The world outside is changing again, from night to dawn to day. The cycle does not break. It only turns. The river continues its flow. The fields wait for touch. The sky prepares to rise fully into light. And the farmer stands just as he has before and just as he will again. Stepping toward the fields. Stepping toward the rhythm that never ends. Everything is the same, and yet everything is new again. Morning returns. The day begins. The cycle continues. And in this endless, gentle rhythm of land, river, and sky, the farmer's life flows forward, quiet, steady, and always returning to itself. The same morning, gently different, the light continues to grow. Not in a way that feels new, but in a way that feels remembered. The horizon, already soft with pale gold, becomes a little brighter. The sky opens further, revealing a quiet blue that spreads slowly above the land. The sun has not fully risen yet, but it is close. The farmer walks along the same path again. The ground beneath his feet feels familiar, cool but beginning to warm. Each step settles softly into the earth, just as it did the day before and the day before that. There is no thought of repetition, only continuation. The village behind him wakes a little more. A door shifts open. A figure steps outside. The faint sound of water being poured into a clay jar moves through the still air. These sounds do not disturb the quiet. They belong to it. The farmer does not turn back. He continues forward, toward the fields, toward the river's quiet presence, toward the work that is never separate from life. The first edge of the sun appears again, a thin, bright line lifting slowly above the horizon. It does not rush upward. It rises with the same steady patience it always has. Light touches the tops of the crops, soft at first, then a little stronger. The plants begin to glow gently, holding the morning in their leaves. The irrigation channels reflect this new light. Small lines of brightness moving with the water, breaking, reforming, continuing. The farmer reaches the edge of his field. He pauses, just as he always does. This pause is not required. It is not planned. It simply happens. A quiet moment between walking and working, between observing and acting. He looks across the land. Nothing has changed in a way that demands attention, but everything is slightly different. The light is never exactly the same. The air is never exactly the same. Even the soil, though familiar, holds its own small variations. He steps forward, into the field. The soil beneath his feet is cool and soft, still holding the memory of night, still carrying moisture from the quiet flow of water. He walks along the irrigation path. The water moves gently beside him. Unhurried, clear, he kneels, touches the soil, lets it pass through his fingers slowly. This simple action repeats, but it does not feel repeated. It feels present. Nearby, other farmers begin to arrive again. Their movements are the same, but not identical. Each person carries their own quiet rhythm into the shared work. The sun rises further, now more visible. Its light spreads wider across the land. The morning begins again, not as a copy, but as a continuation. The farmer lifts his tool, the wooden surface worn smooth by time. He presses it into the soil gently. Lift, place, press. The rhythm returns. A bird moves across the sky, low and steady. It does not rush. It does not linger. It simply moves. The breeze is light this morning, barely present, just enough to touch the leaves, just enough to remind the land that air is moving. The farmer continues his work, step by step, row by row. There is no need to finish quickly, no need to change the pace. The day will unfold as it always does. The river continues in the distance, its presence constant, its movement steady. Everything is connected again, just as it was before. The village remains behind him, quietly alive. The fields stretch before him, quietly waiting, and the farmer moves between them, not separate, not apart, but part of the same quiet rhythm. The sun rises higher. The light becomes clearer. The day begins to take its shape once more, and the cycle continues, softly, naturally, without end. The morning deepens. Once more the sun continues its quiet climb. It does not rush upward. It simply rises, as it always does, bringing light in slow, steady layers across the land. The soft gold of early dawn begins to fade into a clearer brightness. The sky becomes a gentle blue, wide and open, stretching without end above the fields. The farmer moves through his land. His steps are steady, familiar. The soil beneath his feet responds softly, holding his weight and then releasing it as he walks. The morning is no longer at its beginning. It has deepened. The light is stronger now, but still calm, still kind. He follows the line of an irrigation channel. The water flows beside him in a narrow path, guided by careful shaping of earth. It reflects the sky above, broken into small shifting pieces by its movement. He pauses, kneels again, touches the edge of the channel. The soil here is slightly raised. He presses it down gently, allowing the water to move more freely. The change is small, but enough. The water responds. It flows forward, quietly, without resistance. He stands again, wipes his hands slowly. The rhythm continues. Around him, other farmers are fully present in their work now, no longer arriving, no longer preparing, only continuing. Their movements form a quiet pattern across the land, not organized by command, but by shared understanding. The sound of tools touching earth becomes more frequent, still soft, still gentle, but steady. Lift, press, shift. The rhythm carries through the fields. The sun rises higher. The warmth begins to grow. Not heavy yet, but noticeable. The breeze moves lightly across the land. It passes through the crops, creating a soft, rustling sound that comes and goes like a distant breath. The farmer walks toward another section of his field. Here, the soil is slightly firmer. He adjusts his steps, moves with a little more care. He lifts his tool again, breaks the surface gently. Not deeply, just enough to open the earth. Each movement is deliberate, but not slow, not fast, just balanced. Time moves forward quietly. No one counts it. No one measures it. The fields respond to the growing light. The plants stand a little more upright. The colors become clearer. Greens deepen. Shadows shorten slightly. The farmer pauses once more. He looks across the land. Everything appears the same as before, and yet it is not. The light is different. The air is different. Even the silence feels slightly changed. This is how the cycle continues. Not by repeating exactly, but by shifting gently within itself. He continues walking, back and forth, across the same paths. The irrigation channels carry water where it is needed. He watches them carefully, adjusts them when necessary. A small blockage appears. He kneels, removes it with his hand. The water moves again. Freely, naturally. He stands, moves on. The sun climbs higher. The morning moves closer to its warmer stage. The air becomes more still between moments of breeze. The warmth begins to gather slowly. The farmer's movements adjust again, almost without thought, slightly slower, slightly more measured. He does not resist the change. He moves with it. Nearby, a bird lands near the water. It drinks, then lifts away again. Nothing lingers. Everything continues. The village in the distance is fully awake now, though still quiet, still calm. Life moves there as it does here, in slow, steady patterns. The farmer continues his work, not thinking of what comes next, not thinking of what is past, only present, only moving with the rhythm. The sun rises higher still. The warmth deepens. The morning approaches its next turning. And as it does, the land, the river, and the farmer remain together within the same quiet flow. Unbroken, endless. The cycle continues once more. The quiet rise of warmth again. The morning continues to move forward. Not quickly, not slowly, just as it always does. The sun climbs higher into the sky. Its light becomes clearer, stronger, more direct. The softness of early morning begins to fade into a steady brightness that fills the land evenly. The farmer continues his work. His steps remain calm. His hands move with quiet certainty. But the air around him begins to change. The breeze, which once moved gently across the fields, becomes less frequent. Longer moments of stillness settle between each passing touch of wind. The warmth begins to gather, not suddenly, not heavily, but steadily. The soil beneath his feet starts to feel different. Still soft, still alive, but warming at the surface as it holds the sun's growing presence. He walks along the irrigation channel again. The water continues to flow, unchanged. Its reflection is brighter now. sharper. He pauses, looks down. Small ripples move across the surface, breaking the light into shifting patterns. He kneels, touches the water lightly. It feels cool against his hand, a quiet contrast to the warming air. He lifts his hand slowly. The droplets fall back without sound. This small moment passes, and the rhythm continues. He stands again, moves forward. Nearby, other farmers continue their work, but their movements begin to shift, not stopping, not slowing completely, just softening. The rhythm changes, slightly, almost unnoticed. Lift, pause, press. The pauses grow a little longer. The movements a little more measured. The sun rises higher still, now nearing the middle of the sky. The light spreads evenly across everything. There are fewer shadows now, less contrast, more uniform brightness. The plant stands still in the growing warmth. Their leaves no longer move as freely without the earlier breeze. The air feels fuller, not heavy, but present. The farmer wipes his hands slowly, then his forehead, a natural response. Quiet, unforced. He looks across the field. Everything is in place. Water flows where it should. The soil responds as expected. There is no urgency, only continuation. He walks to another section. Here, the soil is slightly drier. He adjusts the channel gently, guides a small stream toward it. The water moves, spreads, disappears slowly into the ground. The change is small, but enough. He stands again, looks briefly at the sky. It is wide, clear, endless. No clouds, only light. He lowers his gaze, returns to his work. The warmth continues to rise, not sharply, but steadily. The air grows more still. The breeze now comes less often. The sounds of the field soften. The rhythm remains, but quieter. Other farmers begin to pause more often. Some stand still for longer moments. Some look toward shaded areas in the distance. The farmer continues a little longer, finishing small tasks, completing what feels natural to complete. There is no signal, no moment that declares change, only a shared understanding carried quietly through the body. The morning moves closer to midday. The sun reaches higher. The warmth deepens. The land prepares again, not with movement, but with stillness. The farmer pauses. Longer this time. He stands, breathes slowly, feels the air around him. Then, without urgency, he begins to turn, not away from work, but toward rest. The cycle continues. Once more, softly, steadily, unbroken. The return towards stillness, the warmth continues to rise. Not in a way that feels sudden, but in a way that slowly fills the air, the soil, and the space between every movement. The sun climbs higher still, approaching the quiet center of the sky. Its light spreads evenly across the land, leaving little shadow behind. The farmer stands for a moment longer in his field. His body is calm, his breath steady, but the rhythm of his work has already begun to change. He takes a few more steps along the irrigation channel. The water flows beside him, steady and clear, unchanged by the growing heat above it. It reflects the bright sky in broken lines, shimmering softly as it moves. He kneels once more, touches the soil, feels its surface. It is warmer now, drying slightly at the top, but still holding life beneath. He adjusts a small section of earth, guides the water gently. The movement is simple, precise. Then he pauses. This pause is longer than before. Not planned, not forced, just natural. Around him, the fields begin to quiet. The steady rhythm of work softens further. Tools move less frequently. Steps become slower. Other farmers begin to stand still for longer moments. Some turn their gaze toward the distant shade of palm trees. Some begin to gather their tools. No one speaks of it. No one calls out. The land itself signals the change. The breeze has nearly disappeared now. The air holds still, warm, even. The plants no longer rustle. They stand quietly, receiving the full light of the sun. The farmer rises slowly. He looks across his field. Everything is in place. The water flows. The soil is shaped. The plants remain steady. There is nothing urgent left to do. Only the understanding that this part of the day has reached its natural end. He begins to walk, not quickly, not slowly, just steadily. Each step carries him away from the field and toward the shade that waits nearby. The path feels warm beneath his feet, but not uncomfortable, just present. Around him, others begin to move in the same direction. Their pace is quiet, their movements aligned without effort. The sound of the fields fades behind them. The soft rhythm of tools and water becomes distant. The shade of the palm trees grows closer, dark shapes against the bright sky. As the farmer steps beneath them, the light changes instantly. The brightness softens. The air feels cooler, more open. He pauses there, letting his body adjust. The ground beneath the shade holds a different feeling. Less warmth, more stillness. He lowers himself slowly to the earth, sitting, resting. Around him, others settle as well. Some sit. Some lean back. Some close their eyes. No one rushes. No one speaks loudly. A clay jar is passed gently. Water is poured. The farmer drinks. Slowly, the coolness moves through him, easing the warmth that had gathered. He sets the jar down beside him. His hands rest. His body settles. The sounds of the outside world soften again. The fields remain, but feel distant. The village grows quiet once more. The sun reaches its highest place in the sky. The light is now full, complete, and the world enters its stillness again. Not empty, not silent in absence, but quiet in balance. The farmer closes his eyes, not to sleep deeply, but to rest. His breathing slows, matches the rhythm of the moment. Everything pauses. The land waits. The work waits. The day holds itself in calm suspension. And once again, beneath the Egyptian sun, the cycle returns to stillness. Steady, gentle, unbroken. The still center returns again. The sun has reached its highest place. It does not climb further. It simply remains, holding the sky in a bright, quiet balance. The light is complete now, even, unbroken. It falls across the fields, the village, the river, and the distant edges of land without shadow or interruption. Beyond the shade, the earth rests in this brightness. The soil holds the warmth of the day. The plants stand still. The water in the channels moves slowly, quietly, almost unnoticed. Under the palm trees, the farmer remains seated. His body has settled fully into rest. The movement of the morning has softened into stillness once more. His breathing is slow, even, unforced. The air in the shade feels gentle, warm but not pressing. It moves just enough to be felt, then becomes still again. Around him, others rest as well. Some sit upright with their hands resting loosely. Some lean back, eyes closed. Some remain still, watching the brightness beyond the shade. No one speaks loudly. Only occasional quiet words pass between them. Soft, brief. Then silence returns. The fields feel distant now, not far in space, but far in rhythm. The steady work of the morning has paused completely. Nothing demands attention. Nothing calls for movement. The river continues to flow beyond sight. Its presence constant, its rhythm unchanged. The farmer shifts slightly. A small adjustment, then stillness again. Time stretches here. Not long, not short, just open. The sun holds its place above. The air holds its warmth. The land holds its quiet. A faint breeze passes through the leaves above. Dry, soft, a brief whisper, then gone. The farmer opens his eyes for a moment, looks outward. The brightness is strong, but not harsh within the shade. He closes his eyes again, returning to rest. This is not sleep, but it is close. A gentle drifting between awareness and stillness. The body knows this moment. It has lived it many times. It does not resist. Even the animals remain quiet, hidden from the light, resting as the land rests. The village is still. Doors closed. Paths empty. Everything is paused again. Not stopped, only held. The farmer breathes slowly. In, out. Nothing interrupts this rhythm. The sun remains high. The light remains full. The stillness remains complete. And within this stillness, there is no urgency. No need to move forward. No need to return. Only rest. Only quiet. The land waits patiently. The work waits gently. The day holds itself in this calm center, and the farmer remains part of it. Not separate, not apart, only resting. As the sun begins, almost imperceptibly, to prepare for its slow descent once more. But for now, nothing changes. The still center remains. Soft, endless, unbroken. When the day begins to move again, the stillness does not end. It loosens, slowly, gently, almost without being noticed. For a long moment, everything feels the same. The sun remains high. The light remains full. The air holds its warmth. But then something shifts. A breeze returns. Soft at first, so light it barely touches the skin. It moves through the palm leaves above, creating a faint whisper that rises and fades again. The farmer feels it, not as a strong change, but as a quiet signal. His breathing shifts slightly, still slow, still calm, but no longer as deeply settled as before. He opens his eyes, slowly, The brightness beyond the shade is still present, but it feels softer now, less heavy. Around him, others begin to stir. Small movements. A hand resting differently. A shoulder lifting. Someone sitting upright after leaning back in rest. No one stands quickly. No one rushes. The day is not calling. It is inviting. The farmer remains seated for a moment longer, watching, feeling. The light beyond the shade begins to change. Not dim, but softened. The sun has begun its slow descent. Though it is still high, its movement has already started. He reaches for the clay jar beside him, lifts it carefully, drinks. The water is cool, steady. It moves through him quietly. He sets the jar down. His hands rest for a moment. Then he begins to rise. The movement is slow, deliberate. He stands beneath the palm trees. The shade still holds its gentle coolness. The ground beneath him steady and calm. Around him, others rise as well. One by one, without signal, without sound, the shared rhythm returns. He steps forward, out of the shade. The light touches him again, but it is different now, less intense, more welcoming. The fields come back into focus, clearer, more alive. The plants move slightly as the breeze passes again. A soft, rustling returns to the land. The farmer walks toward his field, his steps unhurried, balanced. The path beneath his feet feels warm, but not overwhelming. The air feels open again, not heavy, not still. He reaches the edge of his land, pauses. This pause returns as it always does. A moment between rest and work. He looks across the field. Everything remains in place. The water flows. The soil rests. The plants stand quietly. Nothing has been lost in the stillness. Everything continues. He steps forward. The work begins again, but not as before. Not with the full rhythm of morning. Now it is softer, slower, more measured. He walks along the irrigation channel. The water moves gently, reflecting a sky that has begun to change. He bends, adjusts the soil slightly, guides the flow. The movement is small, precise. Lift, pause, set. The rhythm returns in a quieter form. Nearby, other farmers move in the same way. Their actions calm, their presence steady. The breeze moves across the fields again, more freely now, carrying the scent of earth and water. The sun lowers slightly. Its light begins to warm in color. The air feels balanced, neither cool nor hot. The farmer continues. Step by step, time begins to move again, not stretched, not paused. The village in the distance shows faint movement returning, shadows shifting, figures appearing. The afternoon begins. Quietly, the land responds. The river flows. The sky changes. Everything returns to motion, but gently, always gently, and the farmer moves within it, as he always has, part of the rhythm, part of the land, part of the endless, quiet turning of the day. The light turns soft again, the afternoon deepens in a quiet, unhurried way. The sun begins to lower, not suddenly, but with a steady and gentle movement that is almost impossible to see as it happens. Its light changes first. What was once bright and clear becomes warmer, softer, More golden. The farmer continues his work, but the rhythm has softened again. His steps are slower, his movements lighter. There is no need to hurry. The day is already moving toward its resting place. He walks along the familiar paths of his field. The soil beneath his feet holds the warmth of the sun, but no longer carries the same intensity as midday. It feels calm, settled. The irrigation channels reflect the changing sky. The water carries streaks of gold that move and break with each small ripple. He pauses, looks down at the water. It flows as it always has, unchanged, but the light within it has shifted. He kneels, adjusts a small section of soil, guides the flow just slightly. The movement is gentle, careful. Then he stands again. Around him, the fields begin to glow. The plants catch the golden light, their leaves reflecting it in soft, muted tones. Shadows begin to stretch longer across the ground. The breeze returns more fully now, moving steadily through the land. It carries the scent of earth, water, and growing life. The sound it creates is soft, a quiet rustling that travels across the fields in waves. The farmer breathes in slowly. The air feels different now, lighter, cooler. He moves to another part of the field, checking, observing. Nothing urgent, nothing pressing. Only small adjustments remain. Nearby, other farmers begin to slow their work as well. Some pause more often. Some stand quietly looking across their land. The shared rhythm shifts again. Toward stillness, the sun lowers further. Its light deepens into a richer gold. Hints of orange begin to appear at the edge of the sky. The farmer wipes his hands slowly, then rests them at his sides. He looks across the field one more time. Everything is in place. The water flows. The soil is shaped. The plants stand steady. There is a quiet sense of completion. Not final, but enough for this moment. He takes a few steps, then pauses again. This pause feels longer, more settled. The day is gently closing. In the distance, the village begins to shift again. Figures move slowly along the paths. Animals are guided back. Doors begin to open and close softly. The farmer turns, not away from the land, but toward home. Each step carries him along the same path. Warm light follows him. Long shadows stretch behind him. The air continues to cool, just slightly, enough to be felt. The river reflects the sky in deepening color, gold becoming amber. Amber moving toward soft orange. Everything moves toward evening, not quickly, not with effort, only naturally. The farmer walks steadily. No hurry, no delay. The fields remain behind him, glowing in the last warm light of the afternoon. The cycle prepares to shift once more. And as the sun lowers further, the land, the river, and the farmer move together into the quiet approach of evening again. The return home, once more the sun lowers closer to the horizon. Its light softens further, spreading across the land in warm, fading tones. The gold of the afternoon deepens into amber, then into a quiet orange that rests gently over the fields. Nothing rushes toward night. Everything moves slowly. The farmer walks along the same path again, away from the fields, toward the village. toward the quiet comfort of home. His steps are steady, unhurried. The ground beneath his feet still holds a trace of warmth, but it no longer presses upward. It feels calm now. Behind him, the fields remain, glowing softly in the last light. The irrigation channels catch the fading sky, holding it in broken reflections that move gently with the water. Around him, other farmers walk the same way. Some ahead, some behind. No one moves quickly. No one calls out. There is a shared understanding. The day has reached its natural end. The air cools slowly. A soft evening breeze moves through the land, carrying with it the scent of soil and water. It feels lighter, easier. The village grows closer. Its shapes become more defined as the light lowers. Simple homes of earth and reed. Palm roofs catching the last glow of the sun. Small movements appear. People returning. Doors opening. Shadows shifting. Children sit quietly near entrances. Voices rise softly, then settle again. Nothing breaks the calm. The farmer reaches his home. He pauses at the entrance. Just for a moment. This pause is familiar. A quiet space between the outside and the inside. Between work and rest. He steps in. The air inside feels cooler. Held within the walls. Still, comforting. His family is there. Moving gently through evening routines. No strict pattern, only flow. A small cooking space holds a soft, steady heat. Clay pots rest over it. Simple food is being prepared. The scent fills the room slowly. Warm, grounded, the farmer sits. His body lowers naturally, as if it has been waiting for this moment. A clay cup is placed near him. Water is poured. He drinks slowly. The coolness settles within him. Outside, the light continues to fade. The sky shifts from orange to a softer tone, then toward the quiet blue of evening. The sounds of the village begin to soften. Movement slows. Voices lower. Food is shared. Simple. Steady. Bread made from grain. Warm dishes prepared slowly. Each part of the meal connected to the work of the day. The farmer eats in silence. Not empty silence, but calm presence. Each bite carries the rhythm of the fields. The water, the sun. Outside, the first stars begin to appear again. Faint, quiet, the sky deepens slowly. Evening becomes night without a clear line between them. After eating, the farmer steps outside. Just for a moment. The air is cooler now. Gentle. It moves softly around him. He looks across the village. Everything is settling. The day releasing itself. The river continues to flow nearby. Its surface reflects faint light from the sky above. The farmer stands quietly, breathing in the evening. There's no more work to do, only rest. He returns inside, lies down. The space is dim now, the warmth of the day slowly fading. His family rests nearby, close, quiet. The sounds of the village fade further, until only stillness remains. The farmer closes his eyes, not immediately asleep, but drifting. The stars above grow clearer. The sky deepens into night. And once again, the day settles into its quiet ending. Not an end, only a pause. The cycle continues. Softly, endlessly, the night settles again. Night returns the same way it always does. Not all at once, not with a clear moment, but slowly, gently, until the light is gone and the land rests once more beneath the quiet sky. The village grows still. The small movements of evening fade one by one. Doors close softly. Voices quiet. Footsteps disappear from the paths. Inside the home, the farmer lies at rest. His body has released the work of the day. The steady rhythm of field and water has softened into stillness. His breathing becomes slow, even, unbroken. The air inside the home cools gradually. The warmth held by the walls begins to fade, leaving behind a gentle calm that settles into every corner. Outside, the Nile continues its endless movement. It flows through darkness without pause, without change. The surface of the water reflects the night sky in faint, shifting patterns. Where the stars appear, they shimmer softly. Where the sky is darker, the river becomes almost invisible. The fields lie quiet beyond the village. The soil rests. The plants stand still. The irrigation channels hold their water in silence. Nothing moves. Nothing asks to move. The farmer shifts slightly in his sleep. A small adjustment. Then stillness again. The night deepens, not becoming heavier, only more complete. Above, the stars fill the sky. Clear, steady, unchanging in their distant places. A faint breeze passes through the palm trees. It creates a soft whisper in the leaves, then fades. The village is fully at rest now. No sound rises. No light moves. Everything is held within the quiet. Time passes, but it is not measured. There are no markers here, only continuation. The farmer sleeps deeply, his body fully settled, his mind quiet. The rhythm of his breath matches the rhythm of the night. Slow, steady, the river flows. The land rests. The sky watches. Nothing is separate. Everything moves together, even in stillness. The night reaches its calmest point, a deep, quiet center where nothing changes and nothing needs to. And in this place, the cycle pauses once more. Not ending, only resting. The farmer remains asleep. The village remains still. The land remains quiet until, far beyond sight, the first hint of dawn will begin again. But not yet. For now, everything rests. The quiet before morning returns the night is at its deepest point again. It feels wide and still, like the world has settled into a long, steady breath that it has no need to release quickly. Everything remains in place. Everything remains calm. Inside the home, the farmer sleeps without movement. His rest is steady now, held in the quiet center of the night. No dreams disturb the stillness. Only breathing remains. Slow, even. Outside, the Nile continues its endless flow. It moves through darkness as it always has, unchanging in rhythm, uninterrupted by time. The fields are silent. The soil rests beneath the sky. The plants stand without motion, waiting without awareness for the return of light. The village is completely quiet now. No doors open. No footsteps cross the paths. No voices reach into the night. Above, the stars remain scattered across the sky. bright in their distance, constant in their presence. They do not rush. They do not fade quickly. They simply remain. A faint breeze moves through the palms at the edge of the village. It is brief, soft. It passes through the leaves and disappears again into still air. The farmer shifts slightly in his sleep, a small, natural movement. Then stillness returns. Time continues to pass, but without shape. There is no beginning here, no direction, only continuation. And then, almost without notice, something begins to change. Not in the village, not in the fields, but far away at the edge of the horizon. The darkness there is no longer absolute. It softens slightly. A faint difference appears between sky and earth, so subtle it is almost not seen. The river reflects this change in the smallest way. Its surface catches a hint of something lighter beyond the darkness. But it remains calm, unbroken. The stars are still present, but their presence feels slightly quieter now, as if the sky is preparing to let something else return. Inside the home, the farmer continues to sleep, unaware, unmoved, held in deep rest. The air feels unchanged at first. Then slowly, almost imperceptibly, it begins to feel more open, less closed, less heavy. The village remains still, but the stillness is no longer as complete as before. It carries a sense of waiting again. Far beyond the fields, a thin line of pale light begins to form. It is not bright, not warm, only present, the beginning of return. The farmer breathes steadily. The rhythm of sleep continues. But the world around him has already started to turn again. The cycle does not break. It does not pause. It only shifts. Night begins to loosen, very gently, and somewhere beyond the horizon, the first quiet promise of morning prepares to return once more. The land waits. The river flows. The sky changes slowly, and everything remains calm. A quiet closing the faint light at the edge of the horizon continues to grow. Slowly, gently, without effort. The night, which held the world in stillness for so long, begins to release it once more. Not suddenly, not completely, just enough. Inside the home, the farmer remains at rest. His breathing is calm, his body still, held between sleep and the soft approach of another morning. Outside, the Nile continues to flow, as it always has, as it always will, carrying water through the land, through the quiet, through the endless turning of time. The fields wait, not in silence, but in patience. The soil holds its quiet strength. The plants stand ready. The sky lightens a little more. The stars fade gently into memory. The horizon opens. Everything is returning, and yet, nothing has ever truly left. The farmer begins to stir, not fully awake, not fully asleep, just gently rising with the rhythm that has guided every day before this one. But this time, the story does not follow him further. The day will begin again. The steps will repeat. The river will flow. The fields will grow. But now everything slows. The light softens. The sounds fade. The movement quiets. The world settles into a final calm. The farmer rests. The village rests. The land rests. And the endless cycle continues quietly beyond this moment. No beginning, no ending, only the gentle flow of time. And now, the story fades, softly, slowly, into stillness. End of the History Crescent Moon.